Good morning. Hey, it's Bradley. Monday Methods. 1st of May. Everything's good. Hope everybody's doing well when you pop in here. We got some fun. We're going to make a big old mess today. You know me, I like to do these kind of things. I got some really punky, nasty looking wood, and I got some wood that turned out to be not quite so punky. So we'll pop in here and see. There's Don. Okay, so that means things are working. Don, let me know if everything looks and sounds fine. It should be. If my day is off to a good start, we'll see how it rolls. I even got over here on time from the control room this morning. I gotta add about 15 seconds to my little intro video. Good morning, Arthur. Hope you're doing well, sir. It is a little muggy today, even with the AC on. Hey, Wendy. Good morning. Good, nice to see you. A little muggy here in South Georgia. It's not hot. It's just real sticky. One of those days. So I got the fan on number 2 speed. You might hear a little breeze in the mic across from time to time. But anyway, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I might as well take this watch off while I'm thinking about it because it's going to be messy today. That's for sure. George, good morning. Thank you for popping in. So, as you may have seen in the post for Monday Methods, we're doing rough turning for stabilizing. And in the post, I stated walnut. And I do have 2 pieces of walnut. And wood looks scary. Oh, the wood's scarier than bejesus. But that's the fun part of this. The walnut, and this was kind of an experiment. You know how I am. I like to experiment. The walnut on the very outside edge, let me get this out of here, had the most decay. And then inside, and this stuff has been literally laying out back for 5 years. All right. And I know this sounds strange. I was hoping for it to be more rotten. Okay. I wanted it to be full of wormholes and all that stuff. And the very outside of the walnut is decayed. And that's where the heart or the sapwood is. The heartwood, the bugs, they don't seem to like that so much. And I was doing some little research after I decided to talk about using walnut, and it kind of turns out that walnut doesn't really decay very fast. So I'll show you here what I'm talking about. And we'll do this in the overhead. So this is a piece of walnut. I don't know, you may not be able to recognize that as walnut. It doesn't look like your typical walnut by any stretch of the imagination. You can see it is well decayed out here. All right. But when you start to look, and this is the sapwood, so you can see the white sapwood. And here we have the spalting, the zones from the colonies of the fungus. But the heartwood, pretty much untouched. So everything stops at the sapwood. And walnut's a unique wood, and I'm not going to try and tell you that I know all its properties. We do have some tunneling here. Okay, where's my ice pick? You know me, I can't function without my ice pick. So we do have some tunneling here. Some nice tunnels, actually. And so it will be interesting to see what happens with this. It is, it's dry. It's hard. I mean, this wood is really quite sound. Again, surprisingly, I'm disappointed that it's not full of bug holes and trails, because that's really what I wanted. But the outside here, nicely decayed. Okay, and so that's that piece, and I'm gonna grab the other piece of the walnut. I think it's right here. A second piece I did. No, this is the other stuff. Let me see here. I know I've got 2 pieces of walnut in here. And then I think I've got a piece of maple. Sorry for my arm being in there. So I think this is walnut as well, although it doesn't have the same coloration. So this may be something different. When you're pulling it out of the pile out there of bugs and worms and all that stuff. This doesn't look like walnut. Don't ask me what it is because I got a million different things. But again, this heartwood is in great shape, and it's been under an old blue tarp out there for years. It does have some splits and checks in it. But other than that, it's a little more sound than I had hoped for. Now, the dangerous looking stuff. This is probably a piece of maple. And this is what Bradley was after. Full of wormholes, full of spalting, full of patterns. Lots of craziness going on out here. Same thing in here. We've got lots of things that happen to it. One of the things that I want to try and do today with, say, this piece, I know it seems crazy, but you'll understand. I want to try and preserve as much of this void and all of this work in here as I can. Now, I'm going to turn it to a basic shape of round, but I want to preserve as much of this as I can, because then we're going to stabilize it, and then we're going to hybrid cast it in resin, and we'll have the resin be translucent, so that this will be part of the texture of the piece of the bowl. Again, with these big craters, these holes will probably pass through the wall of the bowl once it becomes actually a bowl. So, and I got another piece just like it right over here. Again, I just kind of quick cut them up this morning to get them ready to roll. And they're soft. It's going to be messy. And all I'm going to do, I have two pots. I've got a 2-gallon and a 3-gallon. And they're both 10 inches diameter on the inside. Now, the 5-gallon pot is 11 and 15/16 on the inside. So I'm not going to use the 5-gallon pot. I'm going to use the smaller pots, because I don't have to use as much stabilizing resin. If the pot is narrower in diameter, then I don't have to put as much resin in to cover the top of the blank. Okay, and since these are going to be bowls, they're going to stand up however much. So as long as I get these pieces down to 10 inches, I'll say 9.5. I'm not going to worry about the outside much at all. I want to get them down to 9.5 inches in diameter or less. And some of these looks like they're going to come out less. And that's all I'm going to do to the outside. And then based on that, I will take out material from the inside up to the point, and how do I put this without stepping on my toes? Up to the point that it looks like it's dangerous and going to come apart. Which I know you're going to say, well, yeah, but that's already, you haven't even put it on the lathe, and it looks like it's dangerous and going to come apart. And there is something to be said for that point of view. But that's what this is about. How are we going to do this safely? And that's what we're going to take our time. I think the faceplate is going to work for me. Mounting this on a faceplate, worm screw would definitely be out. Couldn't think of a vacuum chuck. Nothing to hold vacuum. The step drives, probably the wood, even though some of it's pretty firm, probably not strong enough. It might be on the walnut. So I'm going to go with the faceplate as my main holding device. And then the question becomes, what about a tenon? How are we going to work that? So it's going to be kind of one of those wait and sees today. It's just going to have to work through it and see what we get. And that's how we'll go about this. Now I need to walk into the control room and get rid of one thing that's on my screen here, because it's hiding comments. Let's see. Mark Thompson's here. Good morning, Mark. Money Methods is not live. How can it not be live? I don't understand that, but hopefully you'll have some clarification for me there, Mark. Steve says you love the smell of fresh turned worm in the morning. Absolutely. And George says you may have different species of walnut. The first one looked like black walnut. I have some from a tree that I cut about 15 years ago. George, I mean, it's possible, but I'm pretty sure all the walnut I have came from two sources, which are the same. pretty much. I don't think I have a different species mixed in there. The black walnut is pretty much what I think I've got. The other one, there's no telling what was in that shed up there. We collected wood for 10 years out of North Georgia from the clubs and around the country when I was traveling, so there's no telling. But let me go fix my comment screen here, because there's a little banner thing on it that you can't see that's bugging me, and I need to get rid of it. Yeah, because there was my dad hiding underneath the last comment, and he said he made it. Good morning, Dad. So let's attack a piece of walnut first, just for yucks, and let's see what happens here. And then we'll get into this beat up maple. And I'm going to go with the piece that I know is walnut. And I'm going to go over here and get my broom, so I'm going to put that on overhead for a second. Not my broom, but my little whisk broom, my little hand whisker. So when I pulled these out of the pile last night, there were bugs and roaches and just all kinds of things. Earwicks, centipedes, all that good stuff running out of this. I wonder if I can put that up on the side camera. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the end camera for you there. Maybe you can see the texture a little better. And so all I'm doing is getting basically the dirt and anything that's going to really fly off of here. If I can maintain as much of this texture as possible, that's what I'm after. I mean, I'm going to lose what I'm going to lose, and I understand that. This is, I won't say it's soaking wet, but from woodworking standpoint purposes, it is soaking wet. Okay? That's interesting. There's an interesting fiber right there. I don't know. I have no idea what this is. This is like a piece of rope. You never know what you're going to find in a piece of wood, do you? Literally, it's like 3 strands of... That is the wildest thing. That is crazy. I don't know if I can get this up here where you can see it or not. Where is it at? It's right where my finger is. I'm going to try this just for yucks. It may be out of focus. See right here below my finger? That looks like rope or string or some kind of fabric or cloth. I have no idea what it is. That probably went out of focus, but oh well. Mark says on Facebook, I get 2 ways to view. One is Spirocraft, the other shows as Monday Methods, Wood and Resin Turning Community. So it should be shown on both, Mark. They're both turned on. And it doesn't matter, they're identical. And honestly, the best place to watch is on YouTube, because it's a little bit better feed. Because last week, the Spirocraft page dropped while the studios of Bradley RM and Monday Methods community group and YouTube didn't drop. So I have no earthly idea what that was all about. So we're going to mount this on a faceplate now. Trying to find center here, you know, yeah, just pick one, right? I'm really not that concerned about it. We're just going to eyeball a center, if you will. Now we will be using the tailstock as much as we can with not a sharp point on it, but we'll use like a rubber chucky cone just to hold things between centers. And what's going to be interesting with this walnut, especially, is that it's going to be, some of it's really hard, and some of it's going to be really soft. So I'm going to use the EasyWood Tools #1, get in there, #1 hollower with the CI5 cutter on it. And it's a real small cutter, so I'm going to be taking really light cuts. One, I don't want to blow it apart any more than I have to. So, you know, like I said, I'm trying to be, if you can imagine how to be subtle on a piece of decayed wood. And I'm one screw short. I've lost one of my screws. So don't report me to the safety police, guys. All right. So this type of process is so counterintuitive to so much of what we are taught. You got to use good wood and clean, straight, and all that. Well, all that is out the window here. We're looking for an artistic expression of a combination of wood with character and resin in the end product. That's what we're after. And sometimes you have to go through few extra steps to get where you're going. Now I know this guy is green and it's going to turn weird things and look like the back wall because of the chroma key effect. If I don't throw it away. But I just want to have this push up against the back end here, the bottom end. And yeah, I can see that's really soft. And so the gripping point, the tenon or the recess, that's going to be kind of an issue. Now, once it's stabilized, even this rough, nasty, punky stuff way out here would be fine. It will be solid because it will be resin plus wood. So you could turn any kind of tenon or recess you wanted to. Right now, not so much. So that's one of the things that I've been thinking about, some different approaches on what to do here. So and I got an idea. I'll see if it works. I'm not going to tell you what my idea is in case when the time comes I decided it's a bad idea. I'm not going to tell you. But if it seems like it'll work, then I'll go with it. So as I said, EasyWood Tools, #1 hollower, favorite tool of EasyWood Tools. Got the little teeny CI5 cutter on it. I just freshened this one up on the diamond card, as you've seen me sharpen them before. Okay. Now, we got to find a speed for this thing before we get too far along here. It's completely out of balance. And my end camera, I'm going to leave that turn. Well, actually, I'm going to set it off. I had set my M camera, and now it's not doing what I want. Maybe I bumped it. Who knows? There we go. So it's on a faceplate, a little bit of pressure here. So what's our speed going to be? Again, we want it to be as fast as we can get it without being dangerous. And I'm going to step off to the side and turn this up. So when the worms come out, I have had a worm in my mouth before from this kind of wood. Not my first idea. I hear things hitting the ceiling. So that's about 9 1/4 right there that it's turning. And I'm going to let it sling anything out of it that might want to come out of there. Send out some dizzy bugs. Hey, Joe, good morning. Happy Monday to you, too. So right now, Joe, I'm slinging bugs out of this piece of wood. And whatever else is in there, bugs, worms, doodads. And looking at a solid core on the top, walk over here real quick. Again, I said I'm going for 9 1/2 inches, and I'm just going to kind of give myself a little ballpark here. And that's going to be just about right for the core, for the outer edge. I'm just looking at the ghost image right now. I'll show you here. If you could, I don't know if you can see the tape measure. No, it's too high in the picture. But I'm looking through the ghost image, and that looks like that'll work pretty well. Okay. So this definitely is a face mask kind of operation. And as I work with this today, when I start, I'm going to be standing over here. I'm not going to stand directly in line of any of this initially, and as little as possible. So I'm going to start to work this into round from over here. That way, even though I have my face mask on, anything's going, hitting the wall, hitting the monitors, hitting anything but me. Okay? Good morning, Frank. Thank you for coming in and joining us today. We're about to make a mess. So next thing I want to do, I want to make sure my tool rest is in the right height. Center axis of the lathe for the easy wood, and I want to turn this by hand to where I don't hit anywhere, but I'm close. That looks like that's my biggest point. Okay. And again, when I get this to 9.5 inches in diameter, I'm going to leave any voids that are left. If any voids that are in that 9.5 inch circumference, that's going to be part of the piece. Unless maybe it was a big ugly flat that I'd think about it, but I'd probably do something with that. But that's all the smaller I want to make it. Okay? And we're going to leave it pretty thick, probably, depending on its structure, 1.5 inches or so thick, maybe inch, so that it can stay together. And the whole idea here is I want to get the piece as close to a basic bowl shape, or the basic bowl shape that I'm looking for, with the minimal amount of wood to have to stabilize. So I don't want to have to stabilize this whole blanket. It'd be crazy to drop this whole thing into stabilizing resin in the vacuum chamber and try and get all the air out of it. Way too much work. So we get rid of 90%, we rough it out like we might any green bowl, and then we're going to pop it into our stabilizing resin. So that being said, let me put you in the overhead, put on my mask, and we'll get to making a little bit of a mess. And to think that I just swept up this morning, I should have just left the mess on the floor, but it was pretty messy. And hopefully this isn't shaking. I'll be watching the Facebook monitor. That's how I can tell what you're seeing, if the things are doing what they're supposed to. So I'm just going to come over here and look for the edge of this. And you can't quite see in the camera there how long before the tool shows up. Right there. Okay. So you can just see the tool. See my finger here? I'm just a little bit out of range at the moment, but that'll go away. Let me put you on the end camera. You can see a little bit better than out here right now. And again, I'm just going after this nice and gentle like. And there's some good sized chunks flying off of here. Now for fun, we're going to stop and see what diameter we're actually turning already. So I'm cutting right there, but I'm not cutting anywhere else yet. Some beautiful color in this sapwood. I hope we don't lose all the sapwood. So see how we've got some nice color going on in here, and some wormholes. I get all excited about the wormholes and all that stuff. Don says, will I be showing how to put into stabilizing pot and set it up? Don, not today, because this piece of wood still has to get dried. So this is too wet to stabilize yet. So the next process, the next stage in this is to dry it. I will get it dried, and next Monday we'll be going into the pot with this. So we're going to get them turned today. I'll dry them. Even I got to go out of town. I'm going to be gone most of the week, but I'll get them dried before next week. And Monday we'll be putting these into the vacuum chamber and stabilizing. So that will be next Monday, but not today. And I don't have any others that are dried and turned and ready to pop into the chamber. So that'll be next Monday. We'll be actually playing with the stabilizing resin and the vacuum chamber and the vacuum pump come next Monday. Okay? Let's see, what do I want? I wanted the end camera. And I'm going to move this controller down here where I'm working. And actually, now that we've turned a little bit, I can move this tool rest in closer. All right. I'm going to keep that lime green guy out of the way. All right, let's see if we've made contact on an opposite side yet. So we're turning there, and we're turning that. And it may end up being a little less than 9 inches. We'll see what comes up here. I'll put you in the overhead. Pay no attention to the weird looking tape measure. So we do have to go a ways down. We're still about 10.5. Okay, that's good. That's good. Because we want to come down to 9.5. Stop and take another look. So I really would like to get all the flats cut away on here. Hopefully I don't lose. It's going to be close. See how small, narrow my band of sapwood is here? And I said that if I had a flat I would leave it, but I might be lying. That will just roll down the side. This is definitely one of those projects where you kind of have to think about it, plan it out as you go. You can't plan too much ahead. Let's get rid of some of this mass back here while we're at it. We got a lot of extra wood, so I'm going to stand way back and I'm just going to take this corner off. And I'll put you on the end camera for this. This is the softer, more decayed wood out here. So one thing I want to show you in the overhead, can you see my fingers down below there? So see how there's a ghost image and you can see my finger and wood? So I'm defining the basic shape of the bowl, and a lot of that can get filled with the resin. So this is one where it's kind of like turning a natural edge oval style bowl. You've got voids, and because we're going to cast this, hey Roy, you made it. Good morning. I see you're on YouTube, but I see you in the comment thing. So that's great, Roy. Glad you made it. Glad you made it. I'm out here making a mess this morning, Roy. Okay. So as I say, this is all curved away right now, and we're going to keep shaping it. But we keep some of this. I'm in the overhead camera. We keep some of this for texture, and this will be filled with resin. This will get cast. This will get cast in a bowl. Give you a little background on where I'm going with something like this. Oop. So let's say this basic bowl. And this may not be the one, but what I want is something that will fit and I'll just get a different bowl. A bowl like this is going to be the mold, okay? And this guy will drop down into a bowl, and then there'll be another bowl that goes on the inside. And so it's a double mold, and we fill the voids surrounding the outside and the inside with the resin. So that's how the molding process works. So that's why I'm not worried about some of this opening area here, and like this, because that's going to get filled with resin, and we're going to see through the resin and be able to see the wood. So that's the basic premise. It's a big bowl. Change my camera again. The concept of a big bowl with a small bowl inside the wooden bowl to displace, so we don't use extra resin more than we need. Granted, these aren't the exact size, but you get the idea. So it's a double mold kind of thing, okay? Works great. Done it a bunch, love the way it works really well. There's those ropes. That's fiber in the wood, unless there's something that grew into this tree. That is just the craziest thing. If you can look right here, see this? It's like a cord in there. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I have no earthly idea what it is. But let's put this back up here. All right. How close are we to our theoretical 9.5? We're about 9, just under 10 now. Just barely getting under 10. Take a quick sip of soda water here. And what camera am I on? I'm on 2. I'm on the end camera for you. All right. Let's get back to it. Again, we're turning about 9.25. Again, still staying out of the way. I'm back over here working. Even though I'm working around the corner, I can see without having to stand here so that I don't get hit by the bugs or anything else. Put you back on the end camera there. Let's come back up here. Get herself a solid rim top. There may be some metal deeper holding a rope. Yeah, Dad, you know, I kind of thought about that, or that idea crossed my mind, and I was like, well, we'll find out. I'd rather break a carbide cutter than divot up a piece of high-speed steel that costs $90 or $100. Pop you back in the overhead here. So this is pretty much solid wood up here now at the top. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way around to where this flat and that flat are gone, just to have a solid rim in the top without the flats. And I'm going to flatten this out real quick, just so I know what I'm working with. Alright, a little bit more off of here. I know I'm within the realm of my pot diameter now. So I just want to get rid of those flats. Just a fuzz more right there to go. I decided at least up on the rim of the piece I didn't want to have any flats. That might look a little weird. So I'm already starting in my head while I'm turning here, I'm starting to think about what color pigment I would add to the resin. for this piece, and I think it's going to be very translucent because we're going to get some beautiful colors out of the walnut colors itself. And then we don't want to hide this. So maybe like a yellow, a very translucent yellow might be what goes on in there when we actually get to adding the resin to it. All right, let me bring this into line here. Again, I'm going to stay out of the way of this piece as much as I possibly can, just because I never know what's going to come flying out of there. Like Dad said, there might be something metal in here. Let's say there's a spike in there or something holding those, it's got that rope on it. I don't want to get impaled by a flying nail or something. And no, I didn't put a metal detector on it. Okay, I'm going to come around to the other end now. Flip my mask up. So I'm round all the way around the top. So it's time to come down here to the bottom end and decide, what am I going to do with this thing? How am I going to turn it around? Do I think I have enough wood? What do I want to leave? Things like that. Do I want to cut a flat? And it's going to need a bottom eventually, right? So let's go ahead and turn away this softwood in here. Find out what these strings are all about. So I'll put you on the end camera. And again, just so you know, I'm going to be standing over here, right? I'm staying out of the path of this piece. Anytime you're working with this wood that's compromised like this, stay out of the way of the stuff. Luckily, I bring my controller over here with me. And I need to raise my tool rest up, I see now. Easy Wood Tools needs to be at the center. A little bit more. So, see, it pains me to cut this beautiful rotten wood away. Isn't that strange? Boy, just a fuzz more. But, you know, you have to do a certain, you got to make a base on your piece. So there's a nice big chunk just came right out of there, as we expected it would. I believe you're right, Dad. We do have, indeed, we have metal in there. That was what that sound was. And that's why we have a carbide cutter on there. So you heard it go frunk. So my dad called it right. So now we have to figure out what in the world this is and dig it out of there. Because you can see right here is whatever I just hit. Okay? So my dad, he's pretty sharp. He knew that right off, that there might be something nasty in there, and he was right. So I'm going to get a really old beater of a chisel, and we're going to do a little digging here. Just a nice cheap chisel. And I'm going to lock the spindle down. And we're going to dig around this and see what we can find. Where's my mallet? There it is. Now, yes, had I taken a metal detector to this, then I would have known what was going on. So this is probably a yard tree, and if you have a yard tree and you ask a sawyer or a sawmill kind of guy or a guy with a portable bandsaw to come and cut up your yard tree, chances are you're going to give him a deposit for a new blade for his mill before you ever start, because of things just like this. Because yard trees are notorious for having stuff in them. And I was talking about going away, so I'm going up to actually North Georgia at Dad's house, and I go and buy my logs. I'm finally going to buy a new log after that sycamore. I buy my logs from a log yard, and those are forest trees. They haven't been in the yard. They grew out in the forest. The loggers are pulling them in. And with those from that log yard, I've never had a piece of wood with something in it. Now, I did have to get some wood one time from another place, and there was indeed some metal in a big oak that I had gotten. Let's see if we can get a hold of this at all yet. I have no idea what it is, so I don't know how big it is. It may end up being something sizable. So what I'll do, if I don't have any luck chiseling, I'll actually kind of turn around it with that now chipped out cutter and just kind of turn it away until I can expose it some more. Because it's out here on the outer side of the tree. Question is that metal tube? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Instead of chiseling all day long, let's see how bad our cutter is. That one's pretty rough, but we're going to turn it to one good side because we're probably going to hit again. So I'm going to rotate this cutter, and I'm kind of going to drill around this metal. Good morning, Jeff. You missed me trying to turn railroad steel inside this piece of walnut. Good thing cutters are only $13. So I'm going to turn around this using the tool. I'll be turning out here, and I'll just kind of bore around this. And I'll turn some more of this away as well. So the piece is going to get a little bit shorter. It just kind of comes with it. So we'll see what we got going on in here. That's what makes it interesting. Makes it exciting. You never know what you're going to get. So the question is, I have to ascertain where the outside perimeter, I need to be just outside of that thing to turn a hole. Okay, right about there. Now I'm way up above center at the moment, so I'm going to drop myself back down. And I can go in. I'm going to go ahead and take this away so that I'm not vision impaired, if you will. We'll get rid of this out through here. I know it looks like a great tenon, doesn't it? Okay. So we can ease in on this edge. I can come in about 1/4 of an inch. And what I'm going to do is get as close to this as I can. All right, we'll lock that down. Let's see if it'll wiggle on a pair of pliers at all. Take my mask off for a second, get some fresh air. Okay, we've got some movement there. Doesn't mean we're going to get all of it. We never know what's going to be completely inside of here. Ah. Did you know that you can use your tools for a lever? Tool shaft as a lever? Yeah, Jeff, that's what I was talking about when as soon as I hit it. I said, good thing I didn't have a $100 piece of steel in my hand, right? Just a $13 carbide cutter. See, what was giving it away, Jeff, there it is part of it, is there's these ropes, these strings here. And so I got a feeling there's more in here because that rope is still in there. But if I can make a tenon down here now, because I had to turn away that wood, if I can make a tenon here and leave that piece of metal in the tenon, well, that's all good. So I'm going to make a 2.5 inch tenon. No, actually, I'm going to make a smaller one. Let me think. I'm thinking out loud here real quick. I just need something to hold on to this guy. I don't really want to go digging any more than I have to. Let's make this be our tenon right here. That's 2 3/8. We'll go a little strong. I've misplaced my other calipers. Okay, let's see what happens when we turn this away. Ah, lime green, come back. Let's see what happens when we turn this little section away. Must have been the kids' play swing, right? Leave her be. Yeah, Day. If there was a way that I could make it part of the piece visually, you know I would leave it in there. So let's see what happens here, gang. You know, I'm going to say I'm not optimistic. Because I need a little bit bigger tenon than what I have here. So if I can get this flat without carnage, okay. All right, so that works for me. That right there will work. So whatever our ailment is going to be inside of our tenon area, all right? So we're successful there. Okay, now I don't want to take away, I've taken away a lot more of the sapwood than I wanted to, but I'm going to leave that just like that. We've got a hole over here, right there. So I'm just going to make this tenon proper now with a square cutter. So I use the cutter as my guide for the length of my tenon. Okay. Take a little detail tool, put a dovetail on it. Okay. So there's our rope and our ailment, if you will. All right. Now again, this walnut, and so we'll turn another piece after we take the inside out of this. This walnut did not have as much rot to it as I had hoped for. So after this piece, we're going to go over here to one of these really punky guys. But we'll leave that as the basic outside form and shape. And so we'll take the inside out, leaving it about 1 inch thick or so, maybe a little bit more. We do have a great wormhole right here, which we'll fill with resin, different things. So once this gets cast, then once it's cast, then we can turn it as much as we want, and we can turn it away. So I'll leave plenty of wood down in this section. Let me point right here in this area of the piece. I'll leave that between my fingers, that section on the inside I'll actually leave fairly thick, so that if I wanted to profile this more, I can. Okay. All right, let's turn this guy around. I love it when I find metal inside the wood, you know, it makes it for an interesting day. I'm being a little sarcastic there. It's not the first thing I want, but it's not the first time it's ever happened either. Michael Lang is not here today, I'm sure. Michael Lang is a great guy, and he helps me at the woodworking shows, usually Baltimore and Secaucus and Chantilly. And a couple of years ago, I handed him a piece of oak, that oak log I was talking about, and I didn't know that it was full of nails hidden in there. And it was a mess. It had stuff all over the place in it. And he was using the carbide tools, so I just kept handing him fresh cutters until he got where he was going. I probably spent $100 in donated cutters to him that day. You're leaving soon to go buy walnut trees, Jeff? Make sure they don't have any nails in them. I take it you're planting them around the house, stuff like that. Be interesting to get inside this thing and find out that there's a big old giant something in there metal-wise. That's a cruel joke to play on somebody. I didn't do it on purpose, Rich. I felt bad, but he was in the middle of his demo. He had a full house, so I just kept reaching over there on the Spydercraft rack and handing him another big #1 cutter. I said, you can use them all till I run out. It got close. And he did ask me if I did it on purpose. I said, absolutely not. Although it was, in a twisted way, it was kind of entertaining, if I tell the whole truth. All right, I'll take this off. Now I'm going to try a different technique on this other wood, but for this one, this wood is pretty solid now. Shoot, it's hard as steel, right? It's solid, like iron. Your son will be able to turn them when he's old. There you go, Jeff. So we're going to go ahead and pop the inside out of this guy. Pop it on the end here. And I'm going to keep right on dogging this cutter that I took a big divot out of. It's already shot. I'm sure not going to put a fresh one on there and take a chance. So we'll just keep working with this little cutter. I do have another brand new one over here for later. Rich, I was thinking about that piece the last piece you sent me, and I go, I got to do something with that piece that's laying in my office floor from Rich, and I got to come up with a plan for it. And I don't have a plan yet, but I need one because I want to turn it, and I want to see what I can come up with for it. Okay, so again, staying with our #1 Hollower CI5 cutter. Yes, it's a small cutter, but I sure don't want to donate any more cutters to the cause. Yeah, the Manzanita root burl. I got to come up with a plan for it. So we're just going to, mow through here until we hit some metal. I know I sure wouldn't want to use a coring tool and run the risk of putting a coring tool cutter into that metal in there. And yes, I could cut this out faster with my bowl gouge, but again, I don't want to hit a piece of metal. With my Carter & Son bowl gouge. Now I keep waiting for that tick, 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 or that big clang to come on the inside. So I think that's about the wall thickness that I'm going to leave right there. I mean, it's a pretty piece of walnut on the inside. It's amazing, laying out in the weather for 5 years. And other than the sapwood, not much happened. There's, like I say, there's a wormhole over here that you can't see on the end camera. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? Because that's boring right there. That's just taking the middle out of that. So I'm gonna stop taking the middle out of that piece. I'm just gonna take it out. I'll do it later. No need to bore you with that, because that's all I'm going to do, and then this piece we'll throw it in, next week. So I'll clean that out. And we'll put that in the stabilizing pot. So let's get one of these other pieces on here. Because this one is, I say, other than taking the middle out of it now, which is academic, all the excitement has already happened on this piece. So we'll set it off to the side. And let's get victim number 2 up here. All right, which of these monstrosities should we get after? I think this one. All right, this thing is a crazy mess. It's not going to be very big around because of the way, the size of the way it was. But we'll try and leave it long. So this may be, it may end up being a vase type form or something like that. Because, like I say, it's going to be longer, taller than it is big around. But it's got some great textures and stuff in here. It's got great holes and all that. So hopefully some of this will stay in the final profile. So that's what we're about to find out. Okay? So, again, just going to pick the random center here. I say random, but I'm actually going to kind of look and see if I want to center it off to one side more than another. So I'm going in the overhead for you. You know, here's the center of the top of it as we look at it like this. But if I look at the piece, that's still pretty much the center. This is the longest part here. So I think that pretty well will work. So we'll put that right smack dab in the middle, right there. Yeah, good imagination, Jim. Yeah, imagination I'm full of. I don't have a problem with my imagination. I also, when I'm putting the screws in, I get a kind of a feel for how strong this wood is or isn't on this flat side. They actually will ratchet this on setting 12 of 15. So that tells me there's some integrity up here. Okay? So that makes me a little more comfortable and confident as I turn this piece. Again, tailstock is definitely going to be in place while we're turning this even on the faceplate. Now hopefully there won't be any metal items hiding on us. And hopefully we'll be able to maintain some strange outside undulations in the shape of the piece and be able to make a tenon down in this bottom section. Dad says I've never had a problem with imagination. No, I haven't. And I like it that way. Yes, this looks pretty crazy, doesn't it? How do you like the way this looks from the end? Now, why in the world would anybody want to turn this? Right? Give me one good reason why. Well, because it could look cool once it's cast in resin. This is only the first stage. That's one thing you have to keep in mind and remember. This is only the first stage of this process. We're creating a component of a piece. It's not just the wood. And sometimes that's a little hard to keep top of mind, to use a trendy term these days, that it's not just about the piece of wood. The wood, in this case, is a vehicle for what we're going to bring to it down the road in the progress. We're going to bring the stabilizing resin to it, and then we're going to cast it in casting resin to make our final finished piece. So it's just one of the components, as opposed to just taking, I say just, I don't want to mean to belittle a wooden bowl blank, but taking a solid piece of wood and turning a bowl out of it, that's your only component. Here we have multiple components. We have 3 of them, to be exact. So that's what you have to keep in mind, that this is only part of the picture, and this is where the imagination comes in, that, as Dad says, I've never had a problem with. You've got to try and imagine in your mind, visualize this cast full of resin in a certain shape, seeing what you're going to see, what it's going to look like possibly at the final stage. And if you can do that, if you can visualize the future, I'd be rich if I could do that. But you understand what I'm talking about. You got to kind of keep in mind where you're going, not where you're just where you're at. Okay? And I'll stop zenning there. All right, now let's make sure that we are clear here. We have one appendage that sticks way out. This one again is going to be a messy one. Check our tool rest height. So to Jim Brinkman, who's down there in Texas, Jim, the SWAT registration is supposed to come out yesterday or around the 1st, so I'm waiting patiently. Actually, not so patiently. I'm waiting anxiously, I should say, for the SWAT registration to pop up so we can register Spiracraft for SWAT, so we can go to SWAT and go to Texas and Waco in August, which will be the first live event in a year, and it'll be about, what, a year and a half by the time that happens, that we'll be able to go out to, since AAW is virtual, and Spiracraft will be at AAW with a virtual booth here. I'll have the other backdrop going. So signed up for that the other day. So we will be, Spiracraft will be at AAW virtual. So come see us there. Tell your friends, spread the word. All right, let's find a speed for this guy. That's going to be fun. We get that corner off of there, it'll stop shaking quite so much. I want to make sure that it's not shaking too much in the cameras, shaking the building. This will clean up in a second. I don't know what that was. I'll pop you in the overhead here. I don't think it's shaking the camera. I'm going to watch and see. It takes a 20-second delay. I want to see if it's going to make you nauseous on Facebook or YouTube there. It's not shaking too bad. Okay, there's this little limb out here, this corner that we can't see. We're going to take that off first thing. One of the things that's really interesting is as soon as I start spinning a piece, I start to see a shape emerge in the ghost image of it. So if you can think about what I'm seeing now in this ghost image, I'm trying to figure out which camera I'm on. I'm looking at, don't stick your finger all the way in there, Brad. This ghost image down through here, that's what I start looking at as I start to turn all this extra stuff away. Again, I'm staying way out of the way because there's big chunks flying off, especially off this corner. So I'm standing over here. All right. And I do need to move my controls down here. Get in a little bit closer on this guy. So if we can get all the flat stuff turned away and still have cool holes in it, I will be one happy camper. Okay? I'm easy to please, I really am. You give me a nasty looking piece of wood, it doesn't get any better. George says, do you ever go around the Knoxville, Bristol area? I was up there a week and a half ago. Don't get up there a lot. We were up there over in Maggie Valley, and then we were in Pigeon Forge, and we were in Chattanooga. Knoxville and Bristol, I don't get up there a whole lot. I used to live over in Bryson City, North Carolina. So I don't know if you can tell yet what I'm starting to do, what I'm seeing. I'm seeing kind of a rounded holoform shape in this. Believe it or not, I'm kind of seeing a holoform happening here. Let's get some more shape out of this, corners off of it. I'm going to put you on the end camera now. You can see I'm starting to work my way around. Remember, it's the overall shape that we're after. Not so much the immediate shape. Okay. Coming right along. Isn't that thing pretty? That's just gorgeous. You guys think I'm crazy, don't you? There might be a little something to that. This in here, overhead, this right in here is like nirvana for me. This is perfect. I want that all full of resin. But what I do want to do is get rid of that flat area, which is going to take some of this away, unfortunately. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's not do that. I must hit that controller. We didn't want to go that fast. Yeah, I'm in the overhead for you. So if you look at the overall general shape that is taking place there, you'll understand what I'm thinking here. And I'm going to come down to the far end now and stop here real quick. And pop down here to the far end and start to see if I can't find enough area here to work with from a tenon standpoint. If we can't get a tenon now, I have my idea that I want to try. Let's see what happens here. Back to the, I'm going to put you on the overhead again. No, I'll put you on the end camera. Raise that tool rest up. We're going to cut a little bit of flat down in here, see kind of what we get. Well, George, so not this year 21, but 2022, the AAW Annual Symposium is going to be in Chattanooga. So that's not too terrible far away. Come on, just a little bit higher there. Hey, there's a worm right there. I wonder if he's getting dizzy yet. swear the tourist keeps crawling down. So I'm looking for something that has enough structure that I can at least work with it a little bit. Okay. And I had to take a lot of the bottom away, more than I wanted to, but I do need to have something there to work with. And I think that might do the trick. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something a little different. Where's my other? There it is. I'm going to actually stand right in front of this for just a moment. And I'm going to come across here and cut a real flat bottom. Okay. Now I'm putting my thinking cap on and trying to decide if I can make this work. There's a thing that I've done before, and I'm going to try it with this, although this is a pretty risky piece. Hollowing out the center with being supported on the other end, so it's kind of like leaving a post in the middle. The question I have, because I love this piece of wood with all the holes in it right now, all the gaps, is will it stay together when I do this? There's a couple of things I could do. I could just slap a faceplate on here and deal with screw holes. I could cut a tenon and hope that it holds enough for me to turn the inside out with support, which is the other route to go, which I might do as I look at this and think about it. I could drill it, put the worm screw in there and just fill that hole after the fact. Nobody really looked at the bottom all that much. And again, it's going to be cast in resin. So, I've got a couple of options there. But I do want something that will hold it enough, and I think the worm screw, I'm not going to trust it. So what I'm going to do, let me look over here real quick. I was looking for a really small faceplate, and I have one, but I don't have the screws. My number 10 screws wouldn't go in it. Well, we're going to try this first. I'm going to try something a little different. We'll see. And this may be a wreck. This may not do what I want. I'm going to mark the center of this. I'm not going to put any screws in it. I'm going to use a step drive and see if I can turn this between centers and turn out 99% of the middle. So it's a different approach, trust me. It's definitely different. But you know me, I love to experiment and try different things. And I like this, Monday Methods to be as if you were in your shop trying something new. Cast in a brass insert and make a base. Yeah, that you could do that. If I had lots of time to do a variety of things, There's a lot of things I could do. I mean, I could just cast a base onto it in resin before moving forward. That's an option. There's a lot of things you could do. You could glue on a waste block, but you don't want to sit here and watch wood glue dry. So I'm trying some different things that don't require extra time. That's where the rub comes in. Plus, I just like to try things that are a little unorthodox sometimes. So with the step drive in here, we'll have the point, the prongs, plus we'll have the surface area. Well, we won't have the surface area on the jaws in this case. We would if we used the worm screw. And for my center, let me look over here for another handy dandy cone. I'm going to use a urethane cone, another rubber chucky cone, so that I don't destroy a tool. So this is another, here we go, urethane cone, rubber chucky cone going on the tailstock on the live center. Now this may work and it may spin like crazy. We're going to find out here in just a second. We're just crushing that center down. So what I have is basically a soft, call it a soft pinch between centers, okay? So one thing, I'm going to turn the outside a little bit more just to get it back in balance for the center that I have. Because it's a little bit out of balance. It was hard to find, even though I marked the center there, it was hard to find that center that I had marked. So we're going to balance this back up a little bit. And then I'll come in from the end. I'm going to come in from this end. This is the theory. I'm going to come in from this end and take wood away out of the center, leaving a post in the center of it. Okay? That's the general concept here. The issue with this piece is that this hole goes way down in there. So we'll just kind of have to see what happens. The reason that I like to get the wood as close as I can to say 1 inch or so in thickness when possible is that stabilizing resin is really hard. It's much harder than the casting resin. It really beats on your tools. So you don't want to turn any more stabilizing resin, the stabilized wood itself, than you have to. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways we could go about this. We could try and stabilize this whole blank, but I want to, again, take a lot of it out. You know, you could, to cast the outside of it, to fill these voids here now, we would have to go through the stabilizing process to have it be successful. So, you know, that's not going to quite work. So this is what I wanted to try anyway. My plan coming in from the end, and see if we can have some success with this. And it may be a total failure. You know, you just never know. But I am more than willing to experiment live and in person, because I like to have fun. So I'm going to re-round the outside, or true that outside up just a little bit. Okay. Now here's the really wild one, and I don't think I will be so lucky. I don't know if you can see. There's about an inch of wood right here that is about 1/8 of an inch thick. It's basically a little bit of wood and a lot of sealer. It's just this little lip. If I could keep that lip, that would be the coolest thing in the world. Again, if I can show you right here, I'm going to be on the in camera anyway. This is really thin lip, and it goes about an inch deep down in there. Okay, I know I'm asking a lot of everything about this whole little project, but that's just kind of how it works, how it goes, how I like to try things. We'll find out if this is a Monday method worth remembering or not. We are turning about 800 or so, and we're on the end camera. So let's just start it. Let's leave this about an inch thick. Again, keep in mind, I'm standing far clear. I'm working over here. So if this thing goes crazy and goes south and goes flying, at least I have a chance to lean back. I do not want to encourage being unsafe. Experimenting, as long as you have some control, is okay. Keep in mind, if I can get 90% of the wood out of the inside of this, even if I have a little pillar in the middle here, I'm happy. I also know that I could probably break that pillar off after the fact. All I'm trying to do is get rid of the bulk of this material so that I don't have to stabilize it and then turn that stabilized wood. Because once this guy is solid, we put a real tenon on it, we could turn that center section away. The question here is, how much integrity do we have in what I'm calling the center post, right? The wood is compromised everywhere in general already anyhow. So how small do I risk making my center support between center post? Okay? And that's an unknown. But this EasyWood Tools #1 hollower is like the perfect tool for this job, because I can reach way down in here and not worry about the tool flexing or anything. So you can see how that's working. I'm halfway down through this thing already. Down through, we got holes in the side. So if I don't make any more mistakes, this part has worked out great. My little rim stayed there. All those people who left, there's only 3 folks hanging on. All the people who left have missed the exciting part, that this is actually working. Got a big old hole over here, right? This is exactly what I wanted it to do. As long as it stays together, we are good. Let me move that tool rest in a little bit closer now. We'll just get it right here. if you were by chance here with me Thursday night in our Monday Methods wood and resin turning community live video, I figure Art's still here. If you were here, I was talking about the possibility of doing something like this where I have this centerpiece by intention as part of a piece. Now this is here as a support, but this is kind of what I was talking about, guys, in turning a hollow form with a center finial. This is not a finial, this is just a chunk of wood, but a piece in the center of a hollow form. So if you didn't quite grab what I was talking about the other night on Thursday in the meeting, this is the concept that I was talking about that you can do. Okay, where's the worm? Well, I don't know where the worm is, but I'm loving the way this thing looks. It's all full of holes and stuff. If you see me smiling happy, it's because I am, because that's cool. But I'm easy to please too. All right, let's go back inside here. We don't have too much more to go. What time is it? 12:30, so I'm okay on time. Now, because this wood is so soft and degraded and rotten, if you will, it's really easy to turn it away. Which makes it nice for this process. Okay, so let's check my depth here. So I've got a little bit more to go to get to about an inch down in there, in the bottom. Don, I think that worm might be what's crawling down my calf. Sorry for putting my head in the way there. Kind of hard to see in there though. Okay, so that's deep enough. Now if I wanted to, and I think I'm not going to, because I don't want to break this out right here. Take the mask off. If I wanted to, if there was some more structural integrity in here, but I've got some wood bridges that I don't want to mess with, I could come into this with a curve style cutter, and I could reach around the corner here with a little work and hollow this out some more. I might still do it, and I think about it, if I stay down below my upper section here, to take a little bit more of the mass out of that bottom in there. But it's so soft in there, I think I'm going to leave it. But you could reach inside here. I'll show you on the end. You could reach inside, tool rest in the right place, and take away some of the outside of this piece, or excuse me, the inside, to have it closer to being uniform with the outside. So that you could do that if it wasn't for this area right in here that is so weak, which will become very strong. This right here. So I really want to leave that little. It's already almost broken right here. Okay, but that's a great. All this texture and these passageways, I'm super happy with that. Okay. So I know it looks just like it's insane, but it actually did what I wanted it to do. I tested my little principle, so I didn't have to put a tenon on this and worrying about splitting it. And I left a little pillar in the center. Let me Go to the overhead here so you can see. So we've got our little pillar left in the center. That's our support. It's just like turning on a spindle. And I know that I can turn that away. I could break it away. It's not very strong. Here's the side view of this guy. Now that you look at the side of this. Okay. Oop. I always have a hard time turning these things. So I'm super happy because all that void is going to be filled with resin when we cast this. After we stabilize it and we get it cast, all those voids are going to be filled with resin, and we're going to be able to see through that. Yeah, Mark says, don't risk it. You're right. I'm not going to risk it. So I'm tickled pink that, considering what I have here, this is going to be a cool piece. Again, this is one of those things where you have to, I'll set it right there. You have to think about what's it going to be after stage 2 and stage 3. This is one of the components of the project. It's not the entire piece. And that's the mindset that you have to have when you're working with a project like this. You're working with several different stages to get to where you have your final outcome. All right? I'm not going to attack that one, and I'm not going to attack that other piece of whatever it is. I don't know if it's actually walnut or not. But we have our walnut bowl over there that I just have to take the core out of. A little disappointed I didn't get more color and more, I know, strange to say, but disintegrated, degraded wood, decomposed in the walnut. I was optimistic, as usual. This looks like maple. It's done me perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for in a project like this for a hybrid cast. I think it's going to be really cool, really unique once it gets turned. So I know a little early, 12:39 for the usual 1 o'clock. If anybody's, there's only a couple of y'all in here, about 4 people it looks like. I'm not sure how many are over on YouTube, because I can only see the Facebook quantity. If anybody's got any kind of questions, just pop and holler away. And I'm actually trying to read something down there that says 13. So there's actually 13. Must be more people on YouTube that I can see. If you've got any kind of questions, pop it in the chat column there. It says 7 on YouTube. Okay, so there's 7 for 13. Yep, that makes sense. I need to get one more monitor set up in here that I've got them because I watched the Facebook feed on that one, and I'm watching the comment feed over here, and I'm watching my camera monitors, all 4 cameras up there. And then I have another one over there that shows me the streaming software. And if I get one more up there, when there's a space up there, then I could run the YouTube feed at the same time and make sure that I can see everything is working. And I have a gigabyte of speed out here now. Tests about 960, something like that. So, because I recently upgraded that one time I wasn't out here. Upgraded the speed so that I got all kinds of bandwidth. Like I say, 960 down, about 24, 25 up. So I'm pretty good there. Dwayne, thank you. I love playing with this concept stuff. Dwayne, if you haven't hung out with me before here on Monday Methods, you'll find out that I'm always willing to experiment, try new things. And I don't mind if it fails. If it fails in the pursuit of coming up with a new concept, then I am super happy that for it to crash. Because if I break it and a concept doesn't work or something like that, at least you know that you've seen something that doesn't work and it'll help you out. That's what I'm all about, helping you out. I don't have a vacuum chamber. Is there a way to stabilize hardened wood? You just have to get a vacuum chamber and a vacuum pump and some stabilizing resin, Mark. And we'd be happy to fix you up on Spiracraft with that. And if you've got questions, absolutely shoot me a note, give me a call. I'll talk to you about what you would need to get in. You don't need a lot. Yes, I mean it is another process to get into. You probably, let's say it's a $300 to $500 setup for a pump. a chamber, and stabilizing resin's about $90 a gallon, $80, $90 a gallon. But once you're in, then it's like anything else in this hobby. You're in and you're all good for life, other than the disposables. Don says, great job. Multiple steps through stabilizing, resin casting, final turning. Very interesting. Absolutely. Thank you, Don. Again, I will dry this piece out, especially this one. The walnut, I'm not all that thrilled about. Excuse me, that was a bug. I'm not all that thrilled about the piece of walnut. This piece, I'm excited, like a little kid in the candy store. So I will dry this in the course of the next week, and I'll stabilize it. I probably won't be home till Friday. I'll get it stabilized over the weekend, hopefully, and we'll be playing with this. Keep your fingers crossed. Next Monday, in its stabilized fashion, and if it's stabilized, we can turn it and cast it and go from there. So that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that. And it's real funny, you guys. Like I said, I've got a pile of this stuff out back here, and this is exactly what I want to happen. And people think I'm weird, and maybe I am, but I'm intentionally rotting wood. And the reason is this wood was already compromised. It was split. It was cracked. It was checked from being around too long, not being sealed. I didn't seal it right when I first got it. So there wasn't much else I could do with it, but it's perfect for this. So I'm just making it happen. And yeah, that's the see tomorrow for some new wood. I am going up to the wood lot, going up to the shop up north where the folks are, and going to my wood lot up in way North Georgia, buying a log and bringing fresh screen wood home. I was going to do new product, or start doing the videos this week for the new products, or for products in the store, but since my video editing computer decided to up and die after 7 years of 24 hours a day of great service, it's got a new motherboard and a new processor on the way. Actually, everything's here but the motherboard. The motherboard is still en route, so I have to build that machine back together. So I decided this was the best week to sneak away and get some fresh green wood, so I don't have to keep turning the sycamore that I've got all the time. And then I'll get that machine back together and probably start filming next week. Things change, you just have to bend with it and all that. So I got a demo coming up in Augusta here in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. I need some green wood for that, up at a club. Get to go do a live demo in person. Get to go do something in person. That'll be great fun. Yeah. Mark says, yeah, and so Joe says, downside, it may be cooler in the shop because you're burning less. I used to burn the wood, Joe. I don't burn wood here in these shops. I don't need it. In Colorado, I burnt wood like crazy in my shop and could heat that place at 10 below with just a little teeny stove. It was great. And burn wood at the shop up north out there because it's a big shop and barely insulated, so we've got a big 55-gallon drum wood stove in that guy, and we just throw the wood to it and let it rip. So this was fun. Like I say, I'm excited. It'll be cool when we get this thing finished, turned, stabilized, and turned. I don't know. I just like to try this kind of stuff. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, anybody who's got any kind of questions, like say, Mark, shoot me an email, and I'll go get some lunch here. And then if we want to jump on a phone call or a video conference, that's fine. That's what I'm here for, and talk to you about stabilizing and what we need to do to get you hooked up. So everybody, thank you for coming out today or hanging with me. We'll be back next Monday with this fun piece. It's always nice to have company out here. I enjoy going through the paces with new things. So everybody have a great week. Stay safe. Be healthy. All the good stuff. And I'm going to put this over here. Let's see, where will that show? I'm just, to walk away, I'm just going to put that like, nothing seems to want to work my way. So I can get that to stand up. There you go. There's going to give you a shot of how that side is missing. There's an overhead shot. Everybody take care. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. I hope I changed that camera as I walk away. I did. See y'all.